Welcome, everybody, to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined, as always, by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. Tim, what are we discussing tonight, buddy?
We are going to take a trip back to 1980. My perfect little pocket of horror. Love this time. We're going to talk about a movie that I've actually wanted to talk about before, but for whatever reason never got brought up. Maniac!
Stay tuned. All right, Tim, give us a synopsis.
Okay. A psychotic man, troubled by his childhood abuse, loose in New York City, kills young women and takes their scalps as trophies. Will he find the perfect woman in a photographer and end his killing spree? Who knows? Stay tuned to this channel to hear our thoughts.
You're on fucking point tonight, Tim. You're on point tonight, man. Who knows? Stay tuned, folks.
A lot of coffee.
Next, I'm going to hear Scooby-Doo, Ruby-Roo. Tonight's episode. All right. So, yes, 1980, William Lustig, Joe Spinelli. Maniac. This movie is one of those, like Tim said, in that little pocket of horror that Tim loves in the late 70s, early 80s, that entire time frame there, where a lot of movies were made really shoestring budget with some really decent and memorable effects work for a lot of these movies. Here we go. So, Maniac, as the story says.
Here we go.
All right. So as Tim said, we have Joseph. What's his name in the movie? Holy shit! It's Frank Zito. I was gonna say Joseph Zito, but it's Frank Zito. Joseph Spinelli, Frank Zito.
Josh,
Maniac. So
Maniac-y.
So
Italian.
we come to find out throughout the movie he's got some mommy issues, having to do with the fact that she used to throw him.
She was the lady of the evening.
She was the lady of the evening. Throw him in a closet.
Friend of the road, if you will.
She walked on Easy Street, folks. She walked on Easy Street. And growing up, that kind of played a toll on his mental state, to the point where he tries to find if the perfect woman exists. And when he figures that there's a problem with them, he takes a trophy and leaves them.
Why does he sculpt them?
Why not?
Was that explained?
I don't think it's not really explained. It's just let's say it's his tick.
Do you want to know how I took
that's what
it,
he
though?
does.
I took it like it's scalping someone is such an primitive medieval thing to do, and like, yeah, I want the top of your head in my collection, and that's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I took it like it's this very primal kind of trophy. Like some people.
I thought he was trying to like build the perfect woman, and that's why he was like collecting parts. And then I realized the only part he was collecting was scalps and hair.
The way that I always interpreted it was he couldn't keep the body.
Yeah,
so he had the mannequin.
And
the top of the head just kind of made that person exist in his life continuously.
Because he took their clothes too.
Yeah, he did take their clothes too, because he dressed the mannequins.
At least he took the stripper or the hooker that he had in the hotel room, because
And
he
the
took
nurse.
her like her shorts or whatever and dressed the mannequin in that.
Can I just say that the special effects work? I know I'm jumping the gun here, but for 1980, Tom Savini was on point with this fucking movie.
Oh, truly.
This is when
Did he do all the effects?
This is when he was on point, man.
Like,
he did the. I think he had one other person working with him in the effects. I don't know. Aaron will probably confirm later, but I don't think he did 100% of them. But he did the major things.
Yeah.
Because there was parts where I was like, yeah, that's Savini's work, and then there was parts where I was like, there's no way he did that.
Yeah,
I can see a couple of the things that you're talking about. Like one of the things we'll talk about it later, but one of the things that bugged me was there was one of the scalping scenes where it didn't even look like he was actually cutting. It looked like he was just rubbing the knife.
It was the whole because I remember Savini watching a shit ton of documentaries on Savini. Was the knife that produced like the little bead of blood?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Studio.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gag knife. Yeah.
Okay. So there's not a lot of other characters in this movie except for the women that he takes down, which are just cannon fodder for his pleasurable scenarios.
I like that though. I like that it just focuses on the fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
It's kind of simple.
It makes it simple, makes it you don't get attached to anybody.
No.
You know what I mean? Like there's no feel bad. Well, I mean, they get killed, so you kind of like, aw, right? But like the only one that you really truly feel bad for is, in my opinion, the photographer. When she gets it, because she's the only one who you actually spend any time with. So, but even then, she's still kind of part and parcel to his story of murder. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So let's just, Josh, I want to hear your notes.
Wow, we didn't even fucking talk about the nuances of this movie, and we're already jumping the gun. The nuances?
What nuances are you talking about, Tim? He just wanted to say nuances.
Hey,
they did.
You got the word right too.
He heard that word today
just
and wanted
because
to
Tim
use
got
it.
a fucking word of the day calendar for Christmas doesn't mean you need to give him the gears.
Yeah. Jeez.
This is deplorable.
Before we jump over to Josh's notes,
Okay.
which are by far very entertaining, and I can't wait to hear them. The thing I really liked about this movie was it was kind of like this whole movie is all about fucking tone and just atmosphere and this fucking serial killer in 1980 going around killing women, right? Like I know it's a topic that's been like beat to death, not only in film but like in real life and stuff, right? So, but like how many movies were out before this that did this? I don't know. Not many. And I just thought that like this movie was like a very, I don't know, it was like a pioneer, man. Like that's why I dug it so much. Like it's not the greatest movie I've ever seen, but for 1980,
well, it took a different
Tom Savini doing the special effects work.
Joe's creepy though. Like he's creepy dude.
Yeah. But see, this movie took a different approach.
Creepy.
It wasn't a whodunit like the vast majority of the movies in the time were. It wasn't a masked killer like The Prowler and My Bloody Valentine and name another, movie at the time. It was...
It just glazed over what I said.
Well, what did you say? Sorry, I was talking.
I said Michael fucking Myers.
There you go. Michael fucking Myers in Halloween. But it wasn't one of those whodunit... I mean, you kind of know who Michael Myers is. I mean, you know who he is. But it isn't one of those mystery killer movies which were popular at the time. This is literally just a story of this guy who just so happens to be sick in the head and murders people.
Yeah.
It was like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Similar tone in the time frame.
Like if I worked at the local coffee shop and this guy came in every Thursday to pick up a coffee, I'd be thinking this guy's got someone tied up in his basement. Like he looked weird.
Yeah.
He looked like a serial killer and acted like a creepy fucking dude that has mannequins with scalps on his dome in the creepy little shitty hotel.
Not to mention walking around late at night with sunglasses and a hat pulled down and your collar right up like.
Well, and another
he's
thing
not
is,
up to anything.
Again, like I said, like I was like this movie to me was a lot of like mood. Like it almost came across like documentary style. Like someone was following this guy, watching him, documenting, if you will, his kills. And I mean, like Joe Spindle, like he co-wrote this with, like he co-wrote his character, right? Like I don't know, I like this movie. Like I like all the little things behind this movie. All right, I got that out of my system for now. You switch to Josh. Josh,
Perfect.
give us our note. Give us our notes.
You don't get to do that.
Josh.
That's my job.
Give us your notes.
You
Josh.
sit down and shut up, Tim.
I am sitting, and I will not be silenced.
Go ahead, Josh.
Oh my first viewing of Maniac took place January 4, 2020 at 7:31 p.m. My first impression was the throat slice scene. That was a practically non-effect. I thought it was pretty garbage, and it set me up to think that the effects in this film would be horrible. I don't know if you guys thought that as well, but that was the main effect I was talking about that I didn't think Savini maybe had his hands on.
You mean the
or
girl?
Didn't have his hands on enough.
You mean
That was on the
girl-
beach, right?
The girl at the beginning, right? Because the
Yeah.
guy with the fucking garrote wire, that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was. But
Okay.
like the knife slash,
Hmm.
like it didn't even, it was like a non-effect.
That was one of the two
It looked-
that
yeah. Anyways, this guy's out gathering wood like he's gonna stay there all night long. The tide's gonna wash you away there, bud. Like they're ready to just take a snooze right on the beach, and the tide's coming in. Well, that definitely sets us up. He's a maniac. Okay, story's over.
On the floor.
Quote, the ultimate. When the hookers are talking about giving the ultimate for
Oh, the
$100.
That's right. Yeah.
This film suffers from loud music and quiet voices. It was a battle for me the entire film of turning the volume up and down. I don't know if you guys felt that as well.
20 years now?
I don't know.
No,
20
I-
years, he's getting 20 years?
100% I admit that
Yeah,
too.
no,
Because
absolutely.
when I was watching it, there was one time where this loud noise, almost like a scream / vibration came on. Mick came downstairs. She was like, "What the fuck was that?" Because I had it like low, and all of a sudden that pierced through the house.
See, but I didn't notice it as much because I watched it on my computer while I was like, doing editing and stuff like that, and I had headphones on, so like everything was kind of balanced.
I
But
did the same thing.
There are points where you're right, the music is too loud and the fucking voices are too low.
See, I sleep with a fan, so I was laying down and I had my fan going, and I also don't have the best of hearing, so I had the thing fucking cranked to the gears.
Squinty
Had her
eared
cranked
collector.
to the gears. And every time I couldn't hear what they were saying, they're whispering, and there's no subtitles, so I was like, I had to crank it right up. And then all of a sudden, some big music would come in, and I had to turn it back down. Anyways. I said, dude, you can't kill her. Like, 10 people just watched you go upstairs with her. This guy just gives no fucks. He literally
Yeah.
takes a hooker upstairs into a hotel room and kills her. And, like, fucking kills her. It's like 10 people saw him.
Sorry, Josh.
I guess we're never gonna find out what the ultimate was because he killed her.
Well, I want that.
What the fuck? Did he just scalp her? Yeah. Oh, don't mind me. Just taking out a giant fucking trash bag out of a hotel room and a giant human-sized bag. No big deal. Nothing to see here.
It's true. There wasn't nothing to see.
Okay, yeah. I was not expecting a mannequin in the bag. And he proceeds to dress her as the prostitute. Like, why? You literally just had the prostitute. You could have just had the hooker. I don't understand why you need to make... like, you can literally pay for their time. You don't need to create a new one.
I just don't understand.
I really like the voiceover work in this film. Like, when you hear his thoughts, and it's kind of like rotating through, it's kind of like a narrator without a narrator.
Yeah.
It's very good. So, Savini, in this film, the scene where she resists his, like, Ray Romano charm, and it was like 30 seconds.
Ray
She's like, oh
Romano
no,
Churn.
we gotta go home. My boyfriend's gonna be mad. And like 20 seconds later, she's in the back seat doing them freestyle.
Great.
The slow motion head explosion was amazing. The blood was super red, and it brought some life back into what I thought was going to be some pretty shitty effects work.
True.
Don't swing so high. Quote, this mom's a bitch. Let your damn kid swing on the swings. How are you going to police how high your kid swings? In the 80s, nonetheless.
In the 80s, we used to try to go around the bar.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
So, there's a scene where she's being chased down in a subway, and it's like completely empty, right?
The nurse, yeah.
And there's no one there, and she's being chased, and it's pretty scary because she's all alone. And then the train goes by, and through the train, you can see there's just like hundreds of people everywhere. So
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck?
Scratching that one off.
Yeah, there's just people everywhere in the
I know.
station. I don't know if that was like a continuity
It's called a
error and they
reflection.
just like fucked up, and they need to. No, not even the reflection. Like you could see
Oh, that's
through
true.
the windows.
Yeah, through the
'cause all
windows.
that.
Yeah. But you can see like a
It's-
reflection plus the people on the other side of the
There's
platform.
people
Okay, so-
everywhere. I don't know if that was just like pickup shots.
No, I can tell you right now. This movie's budget was pretty much spent. And in order to get that shot, they
Yeah.
couldn't just run the subways through the station or whatever. They had to basically take that shot when the subway was literally just going through the
Yeah.
place. Like
Yeah,
they had to
probably
do
it at nighttime when there was less people.
exactly. So
And,
when they were
excuse me,
filming
you
it,
guys just like move over.
Yeah.
Because like 90% of that scene when they're running through the subway, it's completely empty.
Yep.
And all the bird's eye shots and all the big views make it look and make it feel very empty. And it's just this one shot when the train goes by, and there's just people everywhere.
yeah, they couldn't get it to run while they were filming with no one there.
Did they not get permits or something? Or
Possibly. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out in trivia time, Aaron. just gotta wait and see.
Really, hiding in a subway bathroom station? You're a nurse. You're probably gonna die from whatever you pick up in there. Worse than this guy's gonna kill. Nailing the scalps to the mannequin. Very strange. It's like a ritual. He takes them out and he goes.
Little hammer.
with the little
Just a
thumbtack.
little hammer.
Strange. So there's a scene where there's a couple of them sitting at a restaurant, and then they're eating their food, and then the dessert comes out. And she takes her big little dessert spoon and grabs a big glob of this guy's cheesecake and starts eating it. And then it pans out, and you see she has a full piece of cheesecake not even eaten on her own dish.
She
And
wanted
she's
someone.
over here eating her man's cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's better than your own cheesecake? Someone else's.
exactly. Adam got it.
Especially if it's New York style cheesecake.
Is it even a horror film without the iconic bathroom scene? So if we get a bathroom scene in this horror film, that's with almost every 80s horror film, and everyone to supersede. The mommy zombie scene where like the mother comes and she's all zombified. Very cool. His mannequins come to life and rip him apart. Definitely didn't see that coming as an ending. And what the fuck kind of cops roll into a homicide, look around, say, yep, it's pretty fucked.
He's dead.
Just walk out. Like, yep, checks out, he's dead, and then walk out.
And close the door behind them too. Like
Yeah.
they were fucking
Nothing
proper
to see
too.
here.
Like he's like, yeah, no, he's dead. Okay.
Yep.
Here, let's
He's
let's
dead.
go. Close the door. Like
And they had to go single file because they had 80s hair
Uh,
through the door frame.
I'll be honest, there was a lot of times where I found myself kind of looking at my phone and looking at IMDb, and I was like, oh, who's this guy? What else was he in? So it did kind of drag on at points.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I thought it was really well done. I really liked how they got inside the head of a maniac.
not bad. Not bad.
Those are my notes.
That was cool.
Thanks, Josh. That was a good little insight into the world of Josh and how he felt about this
Like,
movie.
yeah,
Into the world of Josh.
Into the world of Josh.
nugget of my
Aaron.
mind.
Aaron.
All right.
Boy.
Talk to us about the wonders of Savini and whoever the hell else did some of the other shit.
So there were three. Whoa, jeepers! There were three people that that were listed on IMDb, and I didn't write all of them down. I just wrote the Tom Savini down. So they probably
Three
assisted.
was too many to write down.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't got that
Yeah.
much lead in my pencil.
Exactly.
Running
was
out
a
of
pen.
ink here.
It was a pen.
Yeah, running out of ink.
But anyway, yeah. As soon as I saw Tom Savini on this, I was like, right on, getting into a Tom Savini film. That's going to be sick.
A 1980 Tom Savini film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was kind of intrigued right at the beginning because it took 1 minute and 40 seconds for the first kill into the movie. It's like, oh, right on. 1 minute, 40 seconds. I thought, okay, usually I'm sitting back. I got my pen in my hand and I'm like, okay. And I was like, oh man, this thing's going to make me work all the way through. Right? I'm not going to pay attention. But anyway, I was pretty blown away by that. The opening slit throat effect, I was kind of iffy over as well. But I didn't mind it as I played it again. I played it over and over again, and I thought it was okay. But then again, I mean, they were just getting into that kind of deal back in the 70s, 80s, that kind of thing. So it was kind of cheesy, and I thought, you know what, that doesn't look like Tom Savini coming out of like Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead and things like that. So, or at least Dawn of the Dead, right? And so, yeah, I thought it was all right. 2 minutes and 28 seconds for the second death. That was the marker. So 2 people have already died within 3 minutes of this film. I was like, holy shit, this is going to be a kill fest. Looks like Rigicolodian scarring on Frank when he takes his shirt off in front of the mirror. Could be accompanied with a little bit of gelatin or latex, or it even could have been maybe some 2-plast, which is a substitute for latex that you can use for scarring and things like that. Those scars were really good. It looked like he had maybe self-inflicted those wounds because of the mental anguish he's going through in his life or whatever. Good sweat effects on Frank.
I kind of thought they were battle scars.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Tom Savini really glazed him over with the old glycerin and water to give that sweat effect, and it made that guy look even, and it gave me the feeling like this guy was just he's got some fucked up serious issues going on, right? So I love the sweat effect, especially on that guy. It made it even creepier for me. Just that one little effect, and it was, super easy, and that's what it does. I'm telling you. I thought that the scalping of the hooker, the first hooker, what it looked like to me is that they used mortician's wax on her forehead, and they were pushing the blade into it to give it a little bit. I backed it up and I watched it over and over again, and it looks like it's got it's actually embedded in something as he's dragging it across her forehead, and then it cuts and goes back to this piece that looks like it's made out of latex. And I thought, that doesn't look like Tom Savini's work, because it looks kind of rough, right? Mm-hmm. It went from being nice and smooth all of a sudden this, taking for granted that this is, 80s. So, but he managed to lift it off. And as he was lifting it, you notice he didn't peel it right back. It's because there's a couple blood tubes up in there, and the blood tubes are supplying the blood that's dripping down over her face, right? So he wasn't going to rip that thing right off and peel it back to expose that. He's going to just pull it back and do his thing. So it was a good effect, except for the cut, and then you see the 2 totally different ways the forehead looked. If you put those 2 shots side by side, you'd really notice, and that's what they did. And I'm surprised that they did it that way, to be honest. Maybe have a different angle or something to get rid of the burnt image that you see before she gets her hair cut off, right? That probably would have been a little better for that shot. I found that I thought the narration was a bit weird. I'm sitting here just going, what, the narration's kind of weird. It's strange, and maybe it's adding to this guy. I still haven't figured it out, to be honest. But going through this whole film, all I could hear was, That's exactly it, boys. Exactly. I was like, what is going? I was like, what's with the grunting and moaning from Frank? Like the whole time he's doing stuff, even when he's in front of the mirror, he's like, like, okay, maybe he's got some sort of alien living in him.
That too.
Tom's acting, I thought that Tom's acting was on par. He didn't look like he was, he didn't look like he was struggling in any way, shape, or form, and he was convincing, right? I don't know if many people know that the scene inside the car with the shotgun, that is actually Tom Savini, if you're watching this film. And if you're not a horror buff, Tom Savini is one of the greats that initiated some pretty serious special effects in the industry. The shotgun scene was incredible. Reminds me of Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Living Dead. I really liked the way that they had the head explode. Or Day of the Dead, sorry. I like the way that the head exploded and they put it in slow motion. You could see all the bits and gnarly pieces and the splatter of the blood everywhere. I mean, just watch the movie just for that if you're into gore, because that was absolutely fantastic. That was mostly done. You can do that many different ways. You can cast his head. You could cast anyone's head for that, actually, because it was a reverse shot. You just have to have a wig that looks like Tom from the back. And then you can make that head out of foam or gelatin, fill it with all bunch of goo and guts and fake blood and everything, and then pop the squib in the back of it, and boom, you got a really cool effect. But the way they shot it and they slowed it down, absolutely awesome. And my next note is now who's going to finish the effects in the movie now that Tom's dead? Like, shit.
Grand.
No consistency with blood on Tom's fling. So she had blood. The blood was different in the different takes. It was like kind of dripping down on her face, and it was wet. And then the next shot, it was dry. So I did notice that. I don't know how long it took between shots, but it must have taken a while for that blood to dry like that. Again, I made reference to the weird noises that everyone's making in this film. Good illusion with the stabbing in the bathroom scene. It's a Savini classic with the sword or the blade there. I'm just going to let a strange man into my apartment. Duh. Right? Like this guy walks into the photographer's apartment. Oh yeah, I took a photo of you in the park. Come on in, have some tea. He's not a serial killer in New York in the 80s.
Not at all.
Come on in. Right? I found that kind of weird. Switchblade death of the model was good. Generic but effective. Again, it was probably they had 2 or 3 switchblades and one was cut off and they just held it against her stomach. Had a nice little tube right next to it. It was dripping blood everywhere. The grunting and huffing is hilarious. I'm still going there, boys. The zombie effect kind of with Frank's mom was awesome for the time. Mm-hmm. It looked like it was a bunch of latex, cotton, and all that jazz. But it was cool. I didn't expect to have that happen. So it was kind of neat. Fantastic scene at the end. The mannequins coming to life, tearing Frank up. Classic Day of the Dead effect. They're tearing the captain up.
You mentioned Day of the Dead,
right?
And I mean, looking at Dawn of the Dead too, like their complexions were almost bluish, grayish.
Yeah,
Savini-ish,
it was very cool.
Savini-ish from that time period.
Yeah, and they unhooked the head and started tearing it apart and stuff. It was like, yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. And it wasn't even a big difference from his actual head. So they took a head cast of him, and when I saw the actual fake head and they were tearing it apart, I was like, that's actually not a bad severed head. That's a really good one. The transition was really quick, and I thought, okay, yeah, that worked. That worked great. Those are my notes.
Sweet. Those are my notes.
Hey guys, I'm Felissa Rose, Angela from Sleepaway Camp, and you're listening to They Cast from the Coast. Yeah!
And you know what that means, folks? It is now time for the one,
for
The
the greatest
one.
segment in They Cast from the Coast history.
They cast from the house.
It's
The
time for
house next
one.
door.
the
House
only Trivia Time with Tim.
Yeah. Ready for some stuff?
That was
Please provide us, Tim,
All right.
with
real
some
rock and
entertainment.
roll.
William Lustig and Joe Spindle say that they didn't always have the necessary permits to film on location in New York City. Certain scenes, including, but not limited to, the infamous shotgun through the windshield scene, had to be filmed very quickly, and afterwards, you had to run away before the cops arrived.
Quick,
love that.
shoot him
That's
and
all
go.
right. Which, yeah, but that also leads into what I was saying earlier about them shooting in the subway. Like, they did not have a permit. And I was going to say it then, but I was like, it would ruin the trivia time.
Oh fuck! I ruined it. Sorry, Tim.
No. It was a precursor. Like, it was like
All right.
foreshadowing. You were foreshadowing. Natural born storyteller.
Storytelling.
All right. The dummy used in the exploding head scene had to be extensively and expertly done by Tom Savini, who also at that time was known for the Dawn of the Dead effects. After its use in the film, it was so saturated in fake blood and gore that it was decided to retire. It was decided to retire the dummy, which Tom had named Boris. According to Savini, the dummy was locked in the trunk of a car and used in the shotgun scene and then sunk in the East River.
Sweet.
Wicked.
In order to keep costs down, several porn actresses, such as Abigail Clayton, were hired to play victims and other minor female roles. The headless corpse, in the end, is Betsy Palmer's corpse.
Oh.
Sorry. Jason's mother from Friday the 13th. The helicopter shots are recycled footage from Inferno.
Nice.
Wow.
Gene Siskel was so disgusted by the infamous shotgun head explosion scene that he walked out of the fucking
Yes.
movie, saying with Roger Ebert that this film could not redeem itself after the ultra violence he's seen. Well, you know what, Gene Siskel?
Yeah.
Eat a
pretty
dick.
much.
Because
Isn't he dead?
yeah,
Eat a
I feel
dick.
bad. But I never liked
Never
those
did.
two. Never
I used to
liked
only
those
watch
two.
the show just so I could see clips of things that I hadn't seen yet.
No. Who do these guys think they are? Getting on some kind of platform, telling their come on,
Acting like they know what they're fucking
I saw
talking
where that
about.
was going before it started.
joke. Aaron, you look like you took that very seriously.
No, I was thinking. Sorry, I was thinking something else while you were saying it.
Joe Spindle was working in between filming a Maniac with other film projects, one of them being Nighthawks from 1981, which began filming right before production on Maniac ended, in which Spindle cut his hair short, shaved off his mustache, and played a clean-cut, high-ranking New York police officer for the Nighthawks. In a few scenes, most being where Frank Zito's driving a car, Spindle is wearing a fake mustache with a long-haired wig under his cap. Yeah. The original budget for this movie was $48,000 in cash. $6,000, which came from Joe Spindle, which was part of his $10,000 salary from the movie Cruising, which was also from 1980, that recently completed filming before the filming of this began. $12,000 came from Andrew W. Garoni, and the rest of the $30,000 came from William Lustig, from which there's from his profits in the adult film business. Three of them put all their money together into the stock market account, and it grew to $135,000 as production continued. It was a British producer who came up with the rest of the money, $200,000, to complete the movie as part of the condition with his then wife, Carolyn Monroe, who would be cast as the heroine.
There was a heroine.
I guess.
The photographer, maybe?
She died. The montage.
Gonna need a montage.
Vintage and Maniac.
Those
The montage.
off the rails. The montage of Frank Zito looking in the department store mannequins late at night was filmed by Joe Spindle's friend and assistant Luke Walter, as the two men, second unit after the rest of the crew were asleep for the night. The Los Angeles Times refused to run ads for the film due to the graphic content, and not only the film, but its poster. So they were like, this is too violent, fuck this. Tom Savini has been quoted saying that he might have went a bit too far with some of the effects in this movie.
No.
Fuck that. He didn't go
Yeah,
far
that's
enough.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Didn't
I read
go-
that. I read that in one of his books. He was, he felt kind of bad over this film for making it look too. When it was released, people were like, "That shotgun scene was brutal, right?" and things like that. But I mean, he did his job,
did.
didn't he?
Yeah, he did exactly what he was supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie was filmed over 20 non-consecutive days in late 1979 and early 80. This movie has several attributes to the film, being, kind of referenced or honored. Most notably, Psycho. Both Norman Bates and Frank Zito heard voices, and they were abused by their mothers, based off the real-life serial killer, Ed Gein. This film was remade in 2012, starring Elijah Wood. Never watched it.
Dude,
Frodo.
you've never watched it?
Yeah. No. I liked the first one so much that I felt like little Scroto Baggins would have.
You have no idea how good it is then. It is fucking awesome.
Really? Oh, maybe. Maybe.
Look at Elijah Wood in Sin City, man.
Crazy.
He was creepy in that.
Elijah Wood's a
Yeah.
good actor.
He could be a pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, he was the good son.
And I'll end it. He was a good son. He was a good son. Macaulay Culkin was the bad son.
Frodo.
Fancy smancy.
All right, ending it with one more. One more. Joe Spindle was very serious about making a sequel to this film with director Buddy. I can't even pronounce his big Italian name.
Giovanazzo.
I'm sorry. Which they shot a 10-minute promo called Mr. Robbie. After several years, financing for the film was found. Sorry. But the project it was close to the pre-production stage. But after Spindle suddenly passed away in 1989, a sequel never, unfortunately, happened.
So that's interesting. So that's what I said earlier to the guys before we started. I said there was a sequel around somewhere. If you go onto IMDb, you can actually watch that preview that they made.
Yeah. I've seen it. It's kind of dope.
And that is Trivia Time with Tim.
Yeah!
Excellent. Gentlemen, it is now time for us to put our final thoughts together and actually rate this movie. And I, tonight, am going to start with Mr. Peerless.
Mr. Peerless!
Well, where do we start? I enjoyed this movie, especially after the other one that I'd watched. Thought this was a walk in the park. I knew I was going to be in for a pretty good movie. I had never seen this one before, and I can't believe I hadn't. But Tom Savini, as soon as I was looking up the credits, cast, and things like that, I was like, wow. I do remember him doing a film like this, but I had never seen it before. So thank you three, for pushing me to watch this. I thought it was creepy. It had its definite creepy tones to it, especially with the. I think Joe Spinell did like a wonderful job being a super creepy dude in New York. They shoot this thing in New York City, and you already know that New York is kind of, eastern seaboard kind of thing. It's dreary, rainy. So you kind of get that thought in your head when you're watching this. At least I did, right? So it kind of added to the mess. You get the serial killer in this giant city, and he's going around murdering ladies, and we don't actually see where he puts the bodies or anything like that, do we? We don't even see the disposal of these things.
Yeah, we
just
kind of get the impression that he's just leaving them there, and the cops are hot on his trail until the end. You know what I mean? Like
hot on his trail.
You just don't see that
the
side
worst
of
cops
it.
of all time.
Like in a lot of movies,
Right,
you'd
yeah.
see like both
They kinda-
sides of it: the killer getting away with it, and the cops, hot on his trail trying to figure out and finding the bodies. In this case, you just see him. He leaves a trail of bodies.
That's right. It's more zeroed in, and I think that's where Josh gets like or Tim gets the documentary kind of part of it a little bit, if it felt like that. I forget who mentioned that, but anyway, I think that's where that kind of comes from with that, because you're strictly on the side of the serial killer. So I thought it was interesting that he was taking scalps. I'm like, okay, this is strange. And then he's attaching them to mannequins. This is even weirder. This guy's creepy. I liked his apartment. I liked the way they had it set up with probably one of Savini's mouth casts sitting on the door with it open and the tongue. Like, I really, really liked that. I thought that room that they had dressed up for that was perfect for his character. It kind of matched and went together. And of course, I'm never going to shit on what Tom Savini does. He's the effects guru for the years, right? Along with Rick Baker and a bunch of other boys. But this is, it's definitely not going to get a terrible rating from me. I'm probably going to rate it like pretty good. Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yep.
Go
Yep.
ahead.
Well, I like this movie. I saw this movie a couple years ago. So this was not my first viewing. I was on a Savini kick pretty hard about, 7-8 years ago, where I was trying to look at pretty much his body of work, especially ones that I've never seen before. I mean, I've seen the original Friday the 13th. I've seen, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, whatever, right? Like I've seen his famous ones. But Maniac was always one of those ones that I never watched, and I did, and I loved it. I thought it wasn't bogged down with trying to be other things. Again, I really want to iterate the 1980, 79, 80 pocket of horror movies. A lot of shit wasn't done before. And a lot of these movies that came out then were kind of like the first. I'm not saying that this movie was original in any sense of the word, but at points it was. One of the things I really appreciate, like I mentioned in the trivia time, was the kind of like guerrilla style of filming. Get in, get the shot, run the fuck out of there before the cops come, right? Especially, being kind of an amateur, filmmaker, I can absolutely appreciate, like, I don't have a permit to
100%.
fucking shoot here. shoot, run, right? One of the things that I really liked was that it didn't sensationalize or, really glamorize him being a serial killer. It was
Good point.
an honest take. It didn't make him the hero of this movie, but it didn't make him the villain either. Like, this guy's just killing women, and it's horrible, but it is what it is in this film,
points,
right? Yeah, I got major documentary vibes. I liked the inner monologue he had with himself, because we all talk to ourselves. So, I kind of liked how that was done. The special effects, top fucking notch for the most part. Tom Savini is, like Aaron said, like,
He's an effect god.
He's the effects. Yeah, he's the man when it comes to especially old school effects. 1980.
Wow.
I really enjoyed this movie. I am going to give it in R.
Nice.
Because of all the things that I said that I like about horror. This ticks a lot of boxes for me. Yeah, this gets an R.
Sweet. Josh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Josh.
Go ahead. Come on.
Oh, okay. I was just waiting for you to give me.
You may proceed.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this film was the narration, the internal monologue that kind of follows the film. It, as far as getting in the head of a crazy person, I think this film does an amazing job, and probably one of the best jobs of any like slasher or serial killer film I've seen, where it really gets in the head to try and show that there's no logic with this guy, there's no reason. It's just he's insane. He's a crazy person. He's a maniac.
That's the name of the movie.
Oh,
He did the thing.
I see what you did there. I see
He
what
did
you
the thing where he said the word. Yeah. The kills were really good, with the exception of those couple little scenes that, like I said, I honestly think that was like Sunday and Savini was off doing something else, and they just had to get it done. And I also love the guerrilla filming techniques of shoot it and get done and get out of there. We don't have a permit. What do you mean we got to take this shot in the subway and it's 2 a.m. and that's the only time we can do it? Like, that to me is filmmaking on a pedestal. I love that. Like, that's what Sam Raimi did. That's what a lot of these amazing horror films did. They just bootstrapped it up. They got a couple $1,000 that they've saved up, or they worked in gigolo films, and you got a couple dollars.
Show the little skin.
Yeah. My biggest problem with this film is that at points it drags on and it suffers from the timing issues of movies of this era sometimes. And it was definitely a checking IMDb film. Like, I wasn't glued to the screen, but that doesn't make it bad. I think I'll put this at a PG.
Well said. Well said.
Adam, you may speak.
Tim, you know what I feel, right? I share many of the same sentiments as everybody else here. He did the thing. No.
No, you're just hyping yourself up right there.
Right.
Well, in all honesty,
one of these days he's gonna drop it and he's be like, I share many of the same, and say something other than sentiments, and it's gonna throw us for a curveball.
And I'm not gonna like it because change scares me.
Change is scary.
All right. Well, overall, the best thing that this movie had going for it was the effects work. The shotgun blast, like I said, second best head explosion in all of movie history, in my opinion. First being Scanners. I can't shit on Scanners compared to this one, because Scanners that's de facto for when the head explodes. This is a very close second. A lot of the general effects that were in this movie seemed to me to be like they put the money into making sure that they had the effects work done. So it almost created a pedestal for work. You know what I mean? One of the things that I did find out, actually, and Aaron didn't mention this, I'm surprised, but he was uncredited for the effects in this movie, but Tom Savini had Rob Bottin working with him on this. Rob Bottin is infamous for doing all the major effects work on The Thing. So we had a guy with high caliber capability working with Savini. So on the shit that didn't work, it must have been that third person that nobody wants to talk about. I'm just going to say that. It's going to be that third person. Sorry.
I hope it wasn't those two, but if it was, then okay. We don't.
Everybody has rough days. I mean, it is what it is.
And you don't know what other films are working on at the same time, right? You have no idea what if they're burning the candle at both ends or what, right? I mean, in the end, you got to produce a good effect, right? So
the character was sleazy. I didn't feel bad for him when he died, which is a good way to feel about this movie, in my opinion. Like, this character was not, like Tim had said, and I think everybody else had kind of relayed this too. The character was not hero. It was not made to be like, somebody that you idolized, like some people idolize serial killers in real life and shit. This was a dark, dirty, sleazy person that you're literally just watching him go further down the fucking rabbit hole, and the insanity gets worse. The internal mindset and his narration and inner mind dialogue gets worse through the movie. His problems start to come out more the moment that his mother basically appears in a form. The fact that he gets on top of the photographer with the knife and he starts like talking to her as if she is his mother. You know, like you can see him literally, you watching from the beginning of the movie, he's not in a good mental state to begin with, but it goes downhill throughout the entirety of the movie to the point where he's visibly fuckered at the end of this movie, in my opinion. And yeah,
Fuckered.
And that was a yeah fucker.
Yeah.
And that was a good saving grace for the movie too, because that just tells me that it was written well. That being said, this is one of those cases, and I'll say this again, where I've always been an advocate for the fact that there are movies with great premises and great potential that don't necessarily, hit the 100% mark with it. And they're good candidates, in my opinion, for a good remake. And we did mention this earlier, but the Elijah Wood remake from like 2012 or whatever it was is fucking dope, in my opinion. This movie, still not bad though. This is a good show of effects work, good writing, and you do feel like I felt dirty watching this movie after a bit. You know what I mean? Because you just kind of like, ugh, this is nasty, right? All in all, everybody should watch this movie, in my opinion, at one point or another. If nothing else, just for the fact then to say, like what Tim had done, that you've watched, the majority of Tom Savini's body of work at that point. You can say that you've watched it. This movie, I'm going to give a PG. Pretty good. Gentlemen, good discussion. Good discussion. Yes. Well,
this thing got just before you end, Adam. This thing got on Shudder. It got like a 4 out of 5 skulls. And I know you guys hate the rating on IMDb, but I got a 6.5 out of 10, and on Metascore it got a 22, which also carries over to the film we're going to do next, which also got a 22. I won't mention it here though.
Next week's film.
We'll keep you in.
Next week's
yeah.
film.
Tune in next time.
As
we watch another movie that was rated 22 on Metacritic.
On
Fucking
Metacritic,
pay
yeah.
attention, Metacritic, but whatever. All right. Great conversation, guys, and just want to take a moment to thank everybody for tuning in this week and watching this episode with us. We had a lot of fun watching this movie and putting together this review. Thank you. Yes, good job. So please stay tuned. Watch all of our new content. We put it out weekly. Check us out on Facebook, Misunderstood Art Company. Like, share, and subscribe. We're also on YouTube, Misunderstood Art Company. Like, share, subscribe, folks. Tell everybody about us and the show, the wonders of it all. We produce audio copies, not just the video, but audio copies of this episode and every other episode that we release every week on all the major podcasting platforms. Stop fucking yawning, Josh!
Maybe you should be more interesting, Adam. Maybe
shut up!
You should look at yourself.
We produce
before yelling at poor Josh.
For the record, I would like to state that my yawns have nothing to do with anyone's interesting abilities.
I just wanted to yell at Josh. It was fun. So check out the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. We're also on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallets. And until next time, Josh.
$100 get to the ultimate on Patreon. Just saying.
We should have a tier on Patreon called the Ultimate, and they just don't get anything for it.
Oh, you get
we
something.
Just don't know what it is yet. Aaron.
Adam rolls up to your house and gives you the ultimate.
Tom Savini says that he may have gone a little too far with the makeup effects, the gore effects in this film. Tom, you did not. You did your job. Fantastic job.
That's fake news propagated by Fangoria and Bloody Disgusting fake news.
Probably. I'd say Fangoria, not Bloody Disgusting. I'd say Fangoria for sure. Tim.
I'd like to tell everybody to stay safe. Stay spooky.
See you next time, folks.
Good night.